were paid £400 million last year to turn off their turbines during high winds. Now that alone added around £13 to household bills. Well, as we all know, Ed Miliband, Energy Secretary, is firmly set on aggressively pursuing a green agenda using our taxes. But has it got to the point where we need to rethink the net zero? I mean, really seriously, why is it taxpayers that have to pay so much of this? Isn't it up to us to decide whether we really want to go in this direction? Joining me now, climate scientist Paul Burgess and also senior meteorologist and social commentator Jim Dale. Jim Dale, I'm going to start with you. So, wind turbines, in your view, are they a good thing?
Yeah, they've always been a good thing. Let's just say, first of all, it's not Ed Miliband on his own, remember. 98% of the House of Commons supports net zero. It is in law. And therefore, he's pushing ahead with what the House of Commons voted for. In terms of wind vanes, in terms of the renewable energy per se, of course it's necessary. And why? Because this week has been a fiery week, to say the least. Extreme devastation in Los Angeles in terms of what's gone on. Climate induced without a shadow of a doubt. Nothing to do with arsonists or anybody else. The background, the foundation is all there. As well as that, we've had 5 or 6 data reports from the various meteorological agencies that have all reported that we surpassed 1.5 degrees. It's now 1.6 degrees since the Industrial Revolution. It's a one-way street. The graphs show it. I've been on this program many, many times and other programs, and it's not just me who's saying this. It's 99% of scientists say it, etc. So there's every need to continue what we're doing. Otherwise, we're going to get another Valencia, we're going to get another Los Angeles, and whatever else is going on around the world. And do you know what? There's that many of them. I'm starting to lose count. It's inevitable now, and sooner or later, it's here. And it's only 2.5 years ago, by the way, that we saw wildfires in southeast England whilst we got the all-time record temperature of 42.3 degrees.
All right. All right,
this is stacking up. Join the dots.
All right, well, I've joined them up, and they didn't really come to that. Look, 98%, you said 98% of the government support net zero. They may support net zero, but they may not support wind farms, which is the point we're discussing. So, sorry, let me just get to that. Also, you said the fires in LA, 99.9% were caused by climate and not arsonists. We don't know that yet. I mean, isn't that what you were saying? We don't know that for sure.
No. I'm basically saying that the foundation for the fires, for the fires that we've seen, was laid down by 2 things. Well, 3 things in actual fact. The first one being the rainfall that was accumulated over a period 8-9 months ago, which was flooding type rainfall. Now that made the fauna, all of the forest, etc., around us, the shrubs, all grow to tremendous amounts. Then we went into a drought situation in Los Angeles. No rain for the last 6-7 months, and a blazing hot summer. So there's your foundation. It doesn't matter whether it's an arsonist, whether it's a lightning strike.
Well, it does. Well, I think it. No. It does matter whether it's an arsonist or not, because if the third thing in that isn't there, then there's no fire. Paul Burgess.
Well, California used to have droughts in the past of hundreds of years. If you look at the history of droughts and the hydrology, the situation in America there, far, far worse in the past. Now, I want to make something very clear, and it's common sense. Since 1850, when just before that the Thames was freezing over, since then we've gone up by 1.5 degrees, let's say. Right? If we've done that totally to the benefit of all mankind, that warming has been super good for all mankind. It hasn't been bad. So I don't know whether these people want us to go back to the Thames freezing over and to poverty and starvation, because that was the past. The worst droughts were way back then. So you have to look at the data. You have to look at the science, not the latest newspapers or the scare. Now, as regards wildfires, for example, NASA themselves say they've reduced. That's NASA looking down at the Earth from satellites. All the data's there, presented it many times. But the big thing today is this. The British public are being asked to believe not the evidence of their eyes, not the evidence of their ears or their pocket. They're being asked to believe that somehow this wind energy that Jim was claimed up to 9 times cheaper at times, I can explain that, but it's not. It's more expensive. And in fact, if you took the last 5 years, well, the 5 years up to about November 24, if you take that period and you actually pretend we had no wind power, just gas, we'd have saved £18 billion. I've got the graph there, right?
Yeah, of course.
The graph is there, and so on. So there's a huge, gas is much cheaper than wind. Now, what people say is the gas price establishes the price of the energy. It doesn't. The contract for the difference price for wind farms, and by the way, the journalist who said 400 million this last year is wrong. It's just on £1 billion this last year we paid to switch off wind farms. Just under £1 billion. But that's going to rise tremendously because as we're increasing all this wind power, we're not going to need it at times, and we still have to pay for it under that.
But Paul, don't we need an alternative though, just in case we run out? Surely we should be making the most of the wind and the sun and all the things that we have. I wouldn't rely on 100%, but surely we should do something.
We should we should. We should be fracking and nuclear. Basically, that's what we should be doing. Yes, we should be using gas reserves. We have enormous amounts of them, and we should be using them. But that Parliament is talking about, has passed legislation about fracking, where they don't understand in science what a logarithmic scale is. So they didn't understand. They've actually asked for the vibrations caused by fracking more sensitive by 3,500 times than America. I mean, they're technically illiterate. Along with anyone who really hasn't studied this subject scientifically, there is no doubt. Look, we have just beaten Germany at something. We've beaten Germany at being the most expensive electricity in the world, and yet we're asked to believe the exact opposite.
Yeah, thank you. Look, Paul, have you not seen the price of natural gas on the open market in Europe? It's at record levels. That's one of the reasons why energy prices are up. The other one was Putin before that. So let's not blame renewables for the price of this. The one thing I would say to you is well done for coming on, first of all. You're the only guy of the 2% of deniers in this country, man-made climate deniers within reform. No, basically, I've been chasing reform MPs because they're basically scared. Since the election, since we've had the catastrophic events around the world, trying to get one of them to talk about climate change is impossible. And so I thank you for coming on and being brave and doing that, because you are on the mark. You're getting more marginalised by the day by what's going on.
Well, he is a climate scientist and also a commentator.
Well,
so
he's not.
He is, Jim. Just like the same as you being a meteorologist, yeah? Otherwise, we don't want to go into that one. Final word to you, quickly, Paul Burgess. You've got about 10 seconds.
Look, I was in charge of water resources planning for a whole country and all the monitoring of the data. When Jim quotes temperatures like he quoted there, 40.1, that's at Heathrow. Do you know something, Jim? You probably don't know this because you read the thermometer, you don't understand it. When you look at a Stevenson screen, unless there's 1 metre a second of wind passing, according to the standard, right, 22
we'll let him get to the end.
miles an hour at 10 metres, unless that wind's passing through, it overreads. Yeah, so when we get a high like we've just had, right, and you get the sun in the summer, it's going to overread by a big margin, which is why the World Meteorological...
Just let him get to the end of it, Jim. Jim, let him finish, please. We've got to move on.
Only 13.7% of the UK Met Office gauges are accurate to within 1 degree, let alone 5. Some of them, like...
I think I've heard enough. Thank you. No. I think I've heard enough. Jim Dale, Paul Burgess, thank you very much.